Facebook friends, Chef Keith here. Coming on to talk more about the building a foundation of fundamentals. Welcome. So, right off the bat, have you noticed that everybody is trying to get rid? I don't like that. Let's turn that into a crawler so you can actually read it. Everybody's trying to get rid of their ego these days. Why? What's so bad about the ego? Is there an upside to it? This is what we're going to be exploring today. There's a lot of confusion around the ego, especially as it pertains to a Western mindset. In the East, where a lot of our spiritual strategies and meditation practices have come from here in America, in the US, there isn't the same situation with egos as there is here in the West. They're much less defined in the East than they are here in the West. The Western culture is a culture of the individual. Eastern cultures tend to be more of a culture, a collective culture. They work really well together, much better than us stubborn Americans do. So have you seen this? I'd love to hear from you. Drop down in the comments down below and let me know if you've heard a lot of people espousing the ego. It's bad, it's awful, it's horrible. I got to get rid of it. I got to destroy it. I want to be egoless. Well, let's see if we can't clear some of that up today. Well, that's pretty cool. The lights on the ceiling above me. Awareness is amazing. It notices the most subtle things that the mind just can't capture. And the ego is part of the mind. All right, here we go. Let's hide that because you all know what we're doing here. The ego. Is it a friend or a foe? How would you like more clarity around the human ego and how it operates, how it functions, why we have one, why people are trying to get rid of theirs? So lots of work goes into these lives. I sometimes am on time, sometimes I'm not, because of all the work that goes into coordinating different platforms and putting together all the copy that I put on the posts and what you see here up on the screen. It's a lot of work. Please make sure that you've liked and are following my pages, that you've liked this video. Share it with people. Share it with people that are having their own crisis with their ego and thinking that the best solution is to eliminate the ego. Good luck with that. Share it with your friends. Make sure you're liking and following. Show me some love. Love, I love. What was I going to do here? Off the cuff. As a thank you for attending this live, I am randomly giving away a free taste of a present moment perspective. That's valued at $250. For a chance to win that, when I randomly draw out of the comments, make sure you drop down below #FoundFun. That's also what I would like you to put down below in the comments if you would also like an invitation to join my inner circle, which is basically my mailing list, so that we can be connected beyond these social media platforms, which is the ideal. You never know what's going to happen from day to day on a social media platform. And if you are depending on those connections that you have made with people on Facebook or Instagram being secure and always there for you to rely on, think again. Any day, one of these companies could go under, they could be bought out, and all the data and information that's on the platform, that belongs to Facebook. does not belong to us users. So don't count on it. And the best way to stay connected to people is to have multiple forms of connection. And one of those ways is by joining my email list, because email is ours. We get to have domain over our email, which is a great thing, because there's nothing worse than losing a connection with somebody that inspired you, motivated you, or uplifted you. So what are we talking about here? Welcome to the Found Fun Discovery Method. That is the umbrella of my program. And one of the subjects we're covering today in this live is the ego. Is it a friend or a foe? And we definitely address the ego in the Found Fun Discovery Method, which, if I summarized it for you, I would have had my value thing here. Let's explore. I got a prop. I'm having fun with this, you know. Life is too uptight as it is to make this process uptight too. I'm just here enlightening the world, sharing my firsthand experiences with how human consciousness operates and how to take more command of that process. That is the key, right? Would you like to have more command over your mind and your emotions? Would you like to be more effective in life and not let those things bog you down, slow you down, stop you, interfere, sabotage? All that stuff is an internal process. If you don't have a strategy to manage what's going on inside here, you're in trouble. Quite frankly, my advice to you is get on it, because we create from the inside out. So everything might look hunky-dory out here, but there might be something like a ticking time bomb inside of you waiting to go off in the form of a disease, cancer, could be a tragedy or an unexpected trauma like a car accident or violence of some sort. You just never know what's stored in your own consciousness. You really just never know what your life lessons are to learn while you're here. But they all are stored in our consciousness. We can access that to have a deeper, fuller, richer understanding of ourself at the core, our true self. I support experts and entrepreneurs making a difference in the world. What do I mean by that? They're not doing this for their ego, for themselves. They're doing this for the greater good. They're doing this for the collective humanity, the world as a whole. I do personally believe that you can create ego fulfillment and make the world a better place at the same time. It's not an either or. That's the biggest lie we've ever been told, is scarcity or lack exists and that there's just not enough to go around. Well, if you interview the 1% at the top, they don't ever seem to run out of enough. They have an abundance. And I wonder if it's not part of their strategy to get us all to believe in scarcity and lack so that they can enjoy an abundance while we all starve and barely get by on meager rations, meager salaries, employees working while I was going to say that, but I'm not going to say that. Plantation owner. That's how it feels sometimes, guys. When we're out there in the world, where's the love? Where's the value and appreciation for the hard work we do? It sure doesn't show up in the compensation, in the monetary compensation, salaries, hourly wages. That's why so many people are stepping off like me and going out into the world to fulfill their unique purpose. If that's you, I can help you to clarify that. I did it for myself, and I'm highly capable at supporting others to realize their purpose in life. I support experts and entrepreneurs making a difference in the world to be more self-aware and operate from a present moment perspective so that they can have more ease, personal power, fulfillment, and well-being without getting defeated by the familiar struggles, curveballs, exhausting efforts, or unexpected delays that haunt unaware people's lives every day. I do this using firsthand experience and my proprietary new spotting technique as part of the Found Fun Discovery method via intense, one-on-one, structured regular practice sessions over the phone and or Zoom. And when I say intense, I mean intense. My work is not for the faint of heart. If you're fickle, if you're, oh, what was the word? Oh, it's so like hit me right here. Chicken heart. Ugh, that's about the worst experience I can feel about myself. If you're fickle or have a chicken heart and are scared of the slightest things, then this work is not for you. This work is for people that are bold, they're courageous, they're definitely willing to do what it takes to become their highest and best, to live their purpose, to leave a legacy, to make a contribution. Pretty much experts and entrepreneurs that are bold enough to step out of the status quo system that has us all barely getting by and to co-create something for themselves and for the world that makes the world a better place. We need more entrepreneurs in this world, more innovation. Let's put the axe to these big corporations, these big tech companies that are drowning us in their ideas, that are suffocating us in the limited choices and options that they deem appropriate for the consumers and the public at large, right? It's kind of a grassroots movement for the individual to reemerge in American culture and stake its claim as the foundation of this country. Individual rights have always been at the very heart of the United States of America. You've got to find that in yourself and discover what it is you're here to do. I can help you do that. And it starts by simply understanding how the ego operates. Let's get into that. Please introduce yourself. Let me hear from you. I would love to know where you're from, where you're watching from, anything that you want to share that allows us to connect and become greater friends. If you're watching this, chances are we're already friends. So let me hear from you down below. Let me know if this video is adding any value to your life. If you're catching the replay, this is important too. If you're not here live and you're catching the replay, please let me know. Put a hashtag replay down below. I'll reach out to you personally. Make sure that the video answered the questions that you had and that you gained value from this. What's the point? Why bother if I'm not adding value to your life, if you're not gaining something in return for the time and attention that you are investing in being here with me on this video right now? Super important. Again, I repeat, everybody's trying to get rid of their ego these days. Why? What is so bad about the ego? Have you ever really just stopped to be objective about this subject matter? Because we know it's a very subjective matter. First of all, that needs to be addressed too, in case there's not clarity around that. Objective, subjective. What's the difference, basically? There's something involved, a subject. So then if there's a subject, then that subject is influencing what it's seeing. Filters, right? Our beliefs, our judgments, they're filters that color our life experience. And that would be a subjective viewpoint. Objective, to the best of our ability as subjective beings, is really removing those filters, removing the obscurities of our own judgments and beliefs, and to the best of our ability, objectively seeing what is without adding anything else to it. Objective, subjective. So, have you ever stopped and looked at the ego, explored your own ego, observed your own ego from objectivity? It's very easy to be subjective about everything about ourselves. We take this thing very personal. That's why we have an ego. It's easier to be objective with an object, right? It's a coffee mug. It's yellowish. It says, let's explore. Don't have a lot of emotions attached to this or feelings. Not like this thing. This thing's my baby. This is my baby. This is Keith Volpe, Chef Keith Volpe. That's my identity. That's who I am, right? Aren't I my name? Aren't I my life experiences? We'll get into the true self in another video. But for right now, ask yourself, have you ever objectively observed the ego and got to the point where, hey, this thing does serve me in some capacity? I'm not quite clear how, but I'm grateful I have one. Now I just need to learn how it operates and how I can take more command of this part of my consciousness. My. Why do I say my? What does it feel like when you say my? Do you feel the ownership in it? The inherent ownership that comes with my consciousness, my ego, my beliefs, my thoughts, right? They're not somebody else's, they belong to me. And when I own something like my ego, I now have power over it as my creation. You want to own these parts of yourself. You don't want to ever deny them. Denial is, what's the saying? Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Whatever that means. Denial is a real sure way to get more of what you don't want. So let's not deny. Let's explore and get clear. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? The ego. Is it a friend or a foe? Let me see if I can pull up my little post-it notes, sticky notes. Where are they at? There they are. Oh no. They're there, but they probably have stuff from my last show on it. How fun. Can I erase them? All right. What is the ego? Well, this is your chance to teach the teacher. Drop it down below in the comments. What is the ego? Take a gander. Take a guess. This is about self-discovery. This is about learning about yourself. So answer that question, and whatever comes up is what comes up. In my world, the ego is my sense of self. Keith Volpe is part of my ego. Chef is part of my ego. Coffee drinker, part of my ego. I live in Florida. I'm a Floridian, part of my ego. You name it, it's part of your ego. However you choose to define yourself, culture, not going to use the R word because it's loaded and needs to be cleaned up. Culture, country, family, neighborhood, school, sorority or fraternity, professional organization, career, big one, right? What's the number one question that people ask people they just met? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? Why? Because we invest a lot of attention in our self-definition vis-a-vis our career. A lot of us actually run around like me saying, I'm a chef before I'm a human or I'm Keith. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, whatever. There's a sense of pride in a lot of these identities, but again, they're all self-definitions. They're a sense of self. That ego is an accumulation, a collection, a curated collection of our beliefs, our judgments, our identities, our thoughts, our emotions, all of it. It's all contained within the ego. The ego kind of keeps it all together. And are you paying attention? Here's the real kicker. The ego protects. It protects that bundle of ideas, that sense of self. Who we are, the ego will protect that to the death. That's when you get into the problems with the ego. So number one, what is the ego? In all intents and purposes, it's the proverbial closet that we store all of our judgments, thoughts, beliefs, everything in it. It is also a defense program for that collection, that curated collection of who I am. That's why oftentimes the best way, obviously, the best way to learn anywhere, if you've listened to any of my videos, is firsthand experience. So how are you going to learn about the ego better than anywhere else? By studying your own ego, studying yourself, observing yourself from an objective place. Take some notes and notice how you are actually operating. Not so much why, because why gets us back into our head and into thinking, but just notice what's going on there, right? Tally up who you're being and what you're doing, and notice how it correlates to the results that show up in your life. So observe yourself to understand how the ego operates. In my world, it's just my sense of self, and it's who I am if I'm not self-aware. Making sense? When you encounter somebody that is very self-centered, very protective of their identity, very protective of their sense of self, chances are they're operating from their ego. The ego is in charge, not their higher self, not awareness, not self-awareness. That's when it can become a real problem, is when we cannot distinguish our true self from our projected self. That's another way to describe what the ego is. The ego is what we put out into the world, right? It's how we see ourselves and how we broadcast to the rest of the world, this is me, this is who I am. Now, I told you it protects that sense of self. But here's the other kicker to be aware of when it comes to what is the ego. And that is, it defends and protects whatever we have decided to believe about ourselves as true. Guess what? Everything we believe is not empowering. I'm going to be the first to say it. Positivity, positive thinking is a recipe for a disaster, because it's about denying half of creation, denying half of our totality of beingness. You cannot be positive all the time. Electricity operates from positive charge, negative charge. So does our consciousness. So just stop it, everybody. Stop with the positivity thing. Stop asserting the positivity over the negativity. There is a way to be positive and own our negativity, our shadow, the stuff about us that doesn't feel good, right? That everyone's trying to avoid by being positive. I'm positive. Are you positive? Oh, hi, hi, hi. Yes, it's so exhausting to be positive all the time. I can't stand those people. They're so fake. And it's so obvious to us out here. Might not be so obvious to them. That's a great time to extend a little compassion. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Self-awareness is the first step. Without that, we can't even observe that we have an ego at play. We're just being an ego with no perspective on ourselves. Therefore, when somebody confronts us and challenges our beliefs about ourselves, well, we go to war and we protect ourselves and we defend ourselves, even if it's believing something limiting about ourselves. I am dyslexic. I am dyslexic. You're not listening to me. I am dyslexic. No, you can't prove that to be not true. I am a victim. The world has wronged me. I am the childhood survivor of a triple homicide. So therefore, the world is an awful place. And I am not safe anywhere I go. Well, have you ever run into those kind of victims where you're like, you're not a victim. Just bad luck. Just some circumstances, whatever. Or the most audacious thing, maybe it happened for a purpose. Maybe it served your highest and best, and you have yet to realize what that is. Nope, not a victim. A victim is like they dig their heels in, and they're like, no, I'm a victim. I was wronged. And then they go on a crusade, right? They get themselves an attorney, and then they go through this whole rigmarole process of proving that they are a victim and that they deserve compensation. All this work that goes into asserting that I'm not amazing, asserting that I'm not the best of the best, asserting that I'm a loser and I'll never get what I want in life. That's when the ego really fucks us up. Excuse my language, but that's the only word to describe this massive sabotage pattern that a lot of people are caught in and not even aware they're caught in. Am I making sense? Let me get some feedback from you. I want to hear about it. I want to know if this is mumbo jumbo or if it's making sense. The whole point is for me to leave you with new awarenesses, new insights. So that's the ego, right? What is the ego? We'll put that here. And then this one is, what is the upside? I have kind of answered a lot of these questions in my very passionate appeal to you just now about the ego. But what's the upside? How about this? Your sense of self actually does matter, especially in a world full of personalities, the cult of personality, where the self is everything. People have bios 3 pages long with every letter in the alphabet after their name and all their accolades, because for some reason, I guess we see that as a sign of a competent person, an experienced person. But nowadays, you can get all those titles and certifications and letters behind your name. With the right amount of money, you can do that stuff. And some time, obviously. But again, I devolve back to what's the upside of the ego? Well, we have a sense of self, and that sense of self is our projection out into the world. This is who Keith Volpe is. And when we encounter So I believe I am a good person doing a good deed for the world, for humanity. I'm making a difference, a lasting impact in the world. I believe this about myself. And I don't need another single person on this planet to agree with me. But if you come at me and you want to discourage me by saying, oh, you're not doing anything with your life, you're not making a difference, you're nobody, guess who's going to come to my defense? Guess who's going to come to my aid? My ego. And that's ego in right order. That's the upside, is it will defend your beliefs about yourself, both limiting and empowering. But right now we're looking at the upside, and that is the empowering beliefs about yourself. Your ego will defend those to the death. So somebody give me an example in the comments down below of an empowering belief. What do you believe about yourself that feels good? Are you smart? Are you pretty? Are you beautiful? Are you intelligent? Are you creative? Are you a good people person? Do you connect and communicate and relate? Do you build communities? What is your sense of self? Put that down below as an example of an empowering belief. I am a world changer. That's my example of an empowering belief. I am a world changer. So here comes somebody walking into my reality, which the more solid you are on this stuff, the less you become, the less you get challenged, which is also another great reason to just put yourself out there and let it all get rinsed out in the wash cycle. Is that a saying? Feels like a saying, right? Let the cards fall where they may, basically. You don't need to hold them tight. You don't need to protect. It's just a sense of self you're protecting. Put it out there and vet it in the real world scenarios. Vet it. Let people challenge what you believe about yourself. Observe your ego kick in and go to work. Oh, yeah? I beg to differ with you. I've got plenty of evidence to prove that that is true. I am a world changer. I could point to here, I could point to there, I could point to there, I could point anywhere. But what's driving that is my ego defending my sense of self. Without a strong ego, guess what you've got? Nothing. And we've all met those kind of people. They just don't have a whole lot going for them. My heart goes out to them, but they're just a great example for somebody playing small in the world. They tend to pick up. I have to be careful how I say this because I might offend some people's egos. But here's the reality of it. When we look at having a strong, healthy ego that defends your sense of self, your empowering sense of self, that is necessary if you're going to throw yourself into the ring with the other candidates for president, or you're going to throw yourself in the ring with other candidates for a new job, a new position, a new coveted position at a company, or you're like me, an entrepreneur that's blasting the world with your message, wanting people to grab hold of these revolutionary ideas and apply them in their life so that they can be more of what they are destined to be. If you're like me, an entrepreneur, you're constantly in the ring. You're constantly putting yourself out there and getting all sorts of feedback. Some positive, a lot of it negative, a lot of it critical. And that's when your ego is a friend. It'll pat you on the back when you're feeling down. It'll remind you of what you believe about yourself in an empowering way. Granted, this is when the ego is a servant rather than you serving your ego. Right order versus wrong order. That's an important point to make. If I'm in the driver's seat, my ego's in the passenger seat, It's being my friend, protecting what I believe about myself, protecting what I believe about the world, and taking a stand for the things that I deem important in my life. That's the upside of an ego. Without a strong, healthy, empowering ego, you're a nobody. You're working at McDonald's for minimum wage. And if I'm talking to you right now, you're watching this video and you're working at McDonald's for minimum wage, what the heck? You're watching a video about how to realize your full potential. Let's get you past that and beyond that. Nothing wrong with those positions in our society, but they tend to be picked up by people that don't have a strong sense of self. Like I said, the audacity to claim that I could be the president of the United States. Whoa! That's not an easy feat to pull off. Or that I'm the CEO of such and such, or I'm a billionaire investor, whatever, or I'm a talented movie director. I could go on and on. If you have a nice, healthy ego, chances are you're doing something with your life of purpose, of meaning, of substance. You see the value in your existence and you're putting it to work. That's the upside of an ego. Do I have any more of these cards? I don't. Here. So then, obviously, the question is, what's the downside of the ego? All right, let's unpack this one. There's a lot here. If you get half, not even half, if you get a quarter of what I'm sharing here on this video, you are well on your way to realizing your fullest potential and your unique value purpose on this planet, in this lifetime. Congratulations. Now, the things to look out for, the things to be careful about are the downside to the ego. So as you have already recalled from what I've shared already, the ego protects our sense of self. So the downside is when our sense of self is not our best self. If our sense of self is sick, poor, weak, incapable, incompetent, ignorant, stupid, dumb. I could go on and on. What are some judgments? Let me hear about it down below. Drop in the comments a judgment that you are aware of that often pops up. And if you want to be anonymous about this, then share a judgment you've heard somebody else rattle off in a low state of being. I'm a piece of shit. That's my favorite, right? Such a loser, such a piece of shit. Nothing ever goes right for me. Everything I touch turns to crap. And everybody that I reach out to doesn't want to do business with me. I won't ever grow. I won't ever achieve the greatness that I envision myself to have. I'll never make it. There's too much competition. There's not enough people that want to grow and evolve their true power and learn to live and operate in the blissful state of a present moment perspective. I'm just giving you a ton of examples in my own personal life of discouraging, limiting beliefs that pop up for me. The downside of the ego is when it jumps in and it starts to defend and protect those limiting beliefs. Let's backtrack here. A belief is a moment in time. Basically, when we decide to believe something, we are framing a moment in time that we carry forward as an absolute fact, truth, whatever you want to call it. It's very unchanging at that point. Once it's a belief, it's solid, And we either can let it go or hold on to it, reinforce it, let the ego protect it. But those are both empowering beliefs and limiting beliefs. So just as equally, you can have a strong belief about being a loser and that you'll never win at the game of life. Guess what your ego is going to defend? Yep. I'm a loser and I'll never win at the game of life. Your ego will fight and die. Well, it won't die. That's the problem. It'll just get bigger. If you try to kill your ego, it's like the Hulk. Let's be clear. The more attention you give the ego through resistance, like I hate this part of myself. I don't want to be, I don't want to have an ego. I don't want to be self-absorbed or self-centered. The more attention you put into that, just like the Hulk, the bigger it gets, the more unwieldy it becomes. When it comes to letting go of limiting beliefs, it's simply about that. Drop it like it's hot. Move on. Let it go. Don't ever pick it up again. Don't even look back. Some might say that that's kind of the lesson in the Bible when what was it, Job? I don't know, in the Old Testament. Sodom and Gomorrah, right? They're leaving the city because they were deemed good people, while the rest of the sinners in Sodom and Gomorrah were burning in flames. And I think God said to Job or Jacob or one of those biblical names, said, hey, don't turn around. Don't look back. Don't regret. Don't miss what you're leaving behind. If you do, you'll turn into a pillar of salt. That's pretty fixed, a pillar of salt. And I think one of them actually turned back, right? She was missing Sodom and Gomorrah. She turned back in a longing sort of way and boom, pillar of salt. Again, I believe it was an analogy to explain what I'm talking about here today with you, how the ego can actually limit us. It can lock us in place, turn us into a pillar of salt on a limiting belief. Not good enough, not smart enough, not happy enough, whatever it is that you're believing about yourself that doesn't feel good, yes, the ego will defend and protect that as well. So I guess the question everyone has is, what is the solution? Follow us. That's the solution. No. The solution is simple. And it's beyond anything that the mind or the ego could ever conjure up. Self-awareness. The more you cultivate self-awareness, the more you can observe yourself and how you function. When you observe yourself, you instantly and automatically have the option to have more command over yourself. A lot of people let that stuff run wild. They have no command, let alone control, which is the inferior version of command over themselves. They have temper tantrums in public and they act out inappropriately at inappropriate times. Those kind of people have very little self-mastery, very little command over their ego. So then the solution, like I said, is self-awareness. And it starts by being aware that, hey, I have an ego and it's not me. It's my sense of self. These clothes I'm wearing right now, they are not me, but they certainly define myself, right? They make my blue eyes pop too. That's why I wear the orange. Anyway, the solution is self-awareness, which is a arduous process that I totally discourage you from taking on unless you have a zeal to be the commander of your life experience. Unless you have the courage and audacity to believe that you create your reality, don't even try it. It will kick your butt. It is not the path for everyone. It's only for crazy, ambitious people that want to make a difference in the world, that want to grow beyond their small sense of self and be an influence on all of us in an empowering way. No, hide. Drop a hashtag found fun below. We already talked about this. You know what to do. If you're on the replay, let me know by hashtag replay down below. And if you are watching this live or on the replay and you would like to have a complimentary first-hand experience of a present moment perspective with moi over the phone, drop down below in the comments hashtag, is that how you do it? Hashtag found fun. I will also invite you to join my inner circle if you put a hashtag found fun down below. At the end of this video, probably by the end of this weekend, depending on how many people hopped on and participated and watched the replay, I will do a drawing for that complimentary taste of a present moment perspective. Sound good? Are you intrigued? Do you want more self-awareness in your life? This is the skills of the future right here, folks. If you don't see that, then you are behind the times. So, to sum it all up, next time you catch yourself judging something bad, like the ego, stop and consider it may exist for a purpose, like the ego, before you carelessly toss it in the trash. One more time. To sum it all up, the next time you catch yourself judging something bad, stop and consider it may exist for a purpose before you carelessly toss it in the trash. Trust me, I would love to toss mosquitoes in the trash. They're useless. I hate them. Can you relate? Let me hear from you down below. Mosquitoes are just about the worst thing in existence. They don't serve a purpose. If we eradicated all the mosquitoes tomorrow or today, the world would be a better place, right? That's the ego. The ego is naive. It has a very small viewpoint. Our true self has a wide and vast viewpoint that has allowed me to realize everything in creation serves a purpose, even mosquitoes. Remember that the next time you're scratching those nasty little bites. If you liked what I presented today about the ego, its upside and downside, friend or foe, then catch me live here every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. You took the time. You gave me your attention. You gave your higher self your attention. I don't take that for granted. I value your time and attention. And I sincerely thank you for investing it in something that's going to move you forward in your life. There's plenty of distractions out there that will suck up all your attention and leave you in the lurch. So by being on here and watching this video is a clear indication of your commitment to your true self, living your highest and best, and being what you were meant to be, fulfilling that purpose here on this planet in this life. If you believe in past lives, I do. That is my inner circle sign up page. But I will get that to you personally. When I get a hashtag found fun down below, I will reach out to you with a DM and I'll share that website with you so you can sign up for the inner circle. And I'll also check in to see what you learned from this video about yourself and how you operate, right? This is all about you and you. Lastly, I have all these great things down here that I didn't share. What's this one? This is related to the ego, Friedrich Nietzsche. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. That speaks to the ego 100%. The ego believes in the illusions we hold. It doesn't question what we believe. It is a loyal white knight protector, defender of whatever you choose to believe. It could be a harmful belief, or it could be a belief that sets you free. Wow, that's a close-up shot. Last Thursday, I did a live streaming just like this on 3 ways a present moment perspective empowers you to accomplish more in less time. I did that last week. It's right here on my profile. It's on my page, in my group. If you would like to get the link to that live video about 3 ways a present moment perspective empowers you to accomplish more in less time, reach out to me, DM me, send me a private message, drop in the comments, whatever. Start the conversation with a hashtag found fun. Those that do actually take the time to tune in and learn a little something about the ego and how it serves us and how it sabotages us will have the opportunity for a complimentary taste of a present moment perspective using the new spotting technique. Lastly, what else do I have in here? Yeah, this is fun. This is something to understand, right? Is that we're all individuals. We all have a unique belief system. Some of those beliefs correlate. Obviously, there's collective beliefs. You know, enough people believe in something, then it becomes a collective belief. But at the end of the day, we are all individuals with our own belief system, our own ego, defending and protecting our belief system, our sense of self. And so, who are you to say what's right or wrong? I'd say you're being an ego. That's what I would say. Because at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. There just is what there is. And that's why I'm not crazy. My reality is just different than yours. Take that belief on. Take that attitude on. You will have much more compassion for others because you will see them as a unique expression of themselves without trying to fit all of us into some uniform, universal box, category, whatever. We're unique individuals, and that's how we were born, and that's how we're going to die. I'm not crazy. My reality is just different than yours. I bid you adieu. Adieu. That's a word. You know it's a word. I just don't know how to pronounce it properly. En français. I'd learned a little French in sophomore year in high school, but I promptly forgot a lot of it. C'est super chouette. I remember that. Remember this. The fastest way to get to where you want in life is with a guide who's been there before you. That goes for all areas of life. Vet your experts. Make sure they have the proper amount of firsthand experience in the subject matter that they are claiming to be able to enlighten you to. The simplest test I have for any expert or authority in my reality is this one thing. And it's what you will always hear me say in each and every video that I have produced. Firsthand experience is the way. Period. Not what I say, not what he says, not what she says. I will never claim to be superior to your own first-hand experience. That is the most superior experience to have. I don't like the word superior. The ultimate experience is having a first-hand experience. Do you want to talk about sex or do you want to have sex? Do you want to watch it or do you want to be participating in it? Do you want to watch a video about Hawaii or do you actually want to go and rub your feet in the sand and the water and the breeze and the coconuts and the palm trees and all that good stuff, right? First-hand experience is the only way to fully, clearly, without a doubt, understand any subject matter. If your coach, guru, master, teacher, authority, expert is not encouraging you to create and have your own firsthand experience, you're going to end up running into problems eventually. I can promise you that much. Have a wonderful afternoon, and I will see you here next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my profile, my page, my group, and on YouTube. Be well and love your ego. Don't feel like it's the enemy, although it can limit you. And there is command that needs to be taken back from your ego. All right. Have a wonderful one.